Alright, so Space Marine 2 just dropped its biggest patch, and the tactical was on that list for some pretty interesting changes. For the most part, pretty much every class got some buff to some degree. Some builds got hit a little harder than others, but fortunately my primary build actually got some really sizable great changes. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over the best build for the tactical since the last update, so let's begin. Before we dive into the build, I did want to go over some of the changes and just talk to you a little bit about the class, as I do generally in most videos. Since there was a huge patch, I think it's important that we talk about it. There's two major things I wanted to talk about, and that's the Melta and the grenade launcher. For the grenade launcher, ability to refill has been changed. You cannot refill it from the infinite ammo things. You can only refill it from just picking up ammo boxes. This means the grenade launcher build has been effectively nerfed. I don't know if it works anymore. I don't really play that build because I don't think it was ever better than the Melta build, but I know a lot of you wanted me to experiment with it, and even a good portion of you thought it was better than the Melta build for some reason. So for those of you who were actually using that build, you're going to notice that your build is not working as well, and that's because of that. Finally, let's talk about the Melta, and I know I see this comment quite regularly. I saw it before the change and I saw it after. A lot of you were like, I wonder how players are gonna respond now that the Melta is nerfed, or the Melta's nerfed, this and that. Let me be very clear, and I kind of want to explain this to you in a way that you guys can understand. The reason why I, and probably most players who understand the Melta, uses it is because it deals with the vast majority of the enemies on the map, which are majorist and minorist enemies. Very seldomly do you run into extremists, and even more seldomly do you run into a terminus, meaning the vast majority are the huge AoE hordes of enemies. This inherently means having a weapon like the Melta that you can easily pick up can kill a lot of those enemies that you can probably see on screen now, how I'm absolutely still melting the entire screen. That is the purpose of the Melta. The overheal that some of you seem to be fascinated with getting nerfed was a bonus, in addition. Imagine going to your job that pays you like 6 figures a year, and then a month later, and then your boss says, hey look, you got an extra bonus of $5,000. You didn't initially go to that job because of the $5,000 bonus. You went to the job because it paid you 6 figures. Getting the extra bonus was really nice. And that's essentially the same concept with the Melta. The Melta benefit was the fact that it can deal with the AoEs, like I said a second ago. Now, I want to be very clear. There's a difference between a bug fix and a nerf. The grenade thing, that is a fundamental nerf. There was a mechanic in the game that was intended, that was changed. The Melta change, or the bug fix, was not unique to the Melta. And I think some of you actually forget this because you're so obsessed with something being bad or something. I'm not really sure what gamers think these days. I feel like half of you want to hate the game you play. But the Melta was not unique to this effect. This was all AoE based weapons. They could all overheal like this. So that was a actual bug fix, not a nerf. Inherently, it did make the gun weaker, but it was still superior to the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher actually got nerfed. Keep in mind, I don't balance this game. I'm not a developer. I'm just here to present you guys the information. That's simply what I do here. I know some of you don't like the fact that the Melta is strong, but that's not really my problem. You'll have to take that up with the dev team, because I want to present the best information to you, and that's using the Melta. If it was left up to me, I would give the bolt weapons like double their current damage so I can actually use them. I don't want to rant on too long about this, but I just want to have players understand the changes and understand why, we're still using the Melta. If you want change to happen, talk to the devs and maybe they'll do something about the bolt weapons and make them more usable. Alright, now that we're done with my rant, we're on the build section. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not here to just farm views from you. Very little has changed from the last build. We changed like one thing, realistically. We'll go over it, but there has been some changes that actually kind of made it better. I just want to be clear with you, but there is some explanation you probably should listen to, specifically in the gear section. So, first off, we're gonna go over our core traits. First off, we're getting balanced distribution. This is going to make your primary weapon deal 10% more damage, but your secondary deal 10% less. Really great trade-off in my opinion, so that's what we're going with. For the second core row, we're going to be getting Relentless Pursuit. After a gun strike, range damage is increased by 25% for 5 seconds. You're going to be parrying a ton with the build, and with the new changes, that's going to enable parry to be better. This is super important. We're going to go over that in a second, but this is even better now. Next, we're going to be getting Emperor's Vengeance. Killing a Midrash level enemy or higher restores your primary ammo by 1 magazine. Cannot exceed maximum ammo capacity. This is going to be your way to sustain your ammo. The grenade launcher does not work with this anymore. You will not get this from using the grenade launcher. So make sure you're using the Melta or the other weapons or using their primary function, because the grenade launcher will not get this benefit anymore. So this is really important. This is another reason why the Melta build is superior. Next, we're going to be picking up Transhuman Physiology. All squad members restore 30% more contested health. You'll notice that you can't overheal anymore. Honestly, I don't feel very vulnerable because there were some other changes that really helped you being more like survivable. But I do like being able to fully restore my contested health, and the reality is the game inherently already had a mechanic to help you stay alive, which is the contested health system. And so picking this is actually really nice. I actually changed something with my bulwark that benefits contested health before the patch, and contested health based perks are actually really nice, so I really like them. You can go with align aim, but I actually think this one is way more impactful overall. Next, we're going to get priority targeting. The mark from aspect scan lasts 8 seconds longer, but aspect scans ignore minors level enemies. As I've said many times, minors level enemies get exploded by the Melta. Therefore, scanning them doesn't matter. They were going to die with or without you scanning them, so it doesn't matter. This is really beneficial because the actual threats in most cases are the ones that's going to be scanned by this, so this is really nice. Next, we're going to be picking up Battle Focus. A perfectly timed parry gives the parried enemy a mark from aspect scan. The reason why this is valuable is 2 reasons. First off, you're going to not have to use your aspect scan as much because you can just parry enemies. Most, if not all of them, will be parryable, meaning you'll have an aspect scan that isn't reliant on your cooldown. You don't have to use it as much. The second reason, which is actually another pretty big one that came with the recent patch, is parries now will inherently give you a armor pip when you kill a minor's enemy with this. Not the blue thing, you know, whenever they jump at you, that'll give you a pip. Now just straight up parrying them will give you an armor pip now, meaning this is going to inherently give you way more like uptime on your damage, and it's going to make you more survivable because you're going to be trying to parry anyway. Just keep in mind you actually have to kill with the parry. So like the minors guys, when they're swarming you, just spam parry, you're going to kill them. And then you're going to stay like alive, and this has really helped me with sustain. So even though we did lose the overheal bug that every AoE weapon had access to, you now have way more survivability because you can just spam C and now everything gets parried and you get a ton of extra armor pips. It's really, really big. I would highly advise avoiding this precise calibration. This has always been a bait. You lose so much and you get so little out of it. It does not get enough to justify the cause of the action of it, and you get so much from battle focus that it's like ridiculous now. It's so good. Next, we're going to be getting expert timing. Enemies marked by aspect scan can take an additional 100% damage, but the mark duration is reduced by 4. This means you're going to have, I believe, a 12-second scan on enemies. And so this means inherently whenever you parry anything, whenever you aspect scan them, they're going to be taking a ton of extra damage, which is really, really valuable. Keep in mind, after you parry them, you're going to actually get the benefit of doing Relentless Pursuit, which is going to give you 25% more damage. And so the synergies with this build has only gotten better. You're going to parry more. You're going to continue to be able to just like maintain your ammo. And you just got straight up more survivability for playing the build that you were already playing. You had to lose 5% damage, but it's fine because you got more sustain, which I think is actually more important on this build than damage because you already can kill very effectively on the hardest of difficulties. Finally, this is going to be a perk that you can choose on your own. I don't really think the Mark for Death is good. I've already talked about this many times. 120-second cooldown to kill a major's enemy that dies in like 2 seconds, or a extremist that also once again dies in a few seconds. When you only see about 4 of these at any given time, does not feel worth it to me when you can just simply stop enemies from calling, because you get so much more by making it so enemies can't summon allies. This is so big. You're going to be parrying and putting aspects on them. You're going to use your aspects to just hit groups. It's so much more better. You can do what you want here, but just don't pick Radiating Impact. I don't think it's that great. If this was like a 30-second cooldown, I think this would be a great skill. They really need to balance some of these a little bit better. For the weapons, we're going to be using the Aphelion Liberation Alpha. I'm going to speed run this part because this is literally the same thing. I did not change a single thing because there was no reason to. We're going to be going pretty much everything on the top row. Extended Mag is going to give you more magazine size. Magazine Restoration, whenever you drop below a certain health threshold, you'll get more to your magazine, which will be about 30% of it, so it's pretty nice. Then you're going to get Great Might. You do increased damage against Terminus level enemies. Divine Might, more damage. Extended Magazine, more magazine increase, which is good. The first shot after reloading deal 10% more damage. You get Elusive Fire. After a perfect time dodge, fire rate is increased. And then Perpetual Fire, you get 10% more fire rate. This is your bread and butter. It doesn't really matter which Melta that you use. honestly, just do whatever's your preference. I like the extra ammo because I just shoot at everything like a madman, but kind of do whatever you want. You get so much ammo sustain. For our weapon, we're using also the Aphelion Liberation, well, beta for the pistol. Again, the pistol doesn't matter too much at all. In terms of perks, I really didn't change too much. I did change it a little bit. I get Great Might at the bottom for Terminus level enemies. We went Retaliation after perfect dodge, deal 25% more damage, synergizes with you well. After a gun strike, you get more recoil reduction, which again synergizes really well with your build. Damage is increased by 10%, and then we got more magazine, but we actually went up this way because Headhunter gives us 10% more headshot damage because you're going to be parrying and then shooting things in the head, so it's actually really nice. And then we're going to get Elite Hunter after killing a Matrix level enemy or higher with a melee weapon. Headshots deal 50% more damage, so that's really nice. And then we picked up Headhunter for headshots deal 10% more damage. And I feel like this is way better than the previous build because you're going to be parrying a lot and you're going to be getting the counter shot thingy. You're going to shoot them in the head and they're going to die. And you'll see in a lot of my footage when I parry anything and do the headshot, it typically put them in execution state or kill them. And this is actually really helpful to it. Finally, for the Chainsword, we actually upgraded it to the Aquiline dedication from the last video. And again, we just took everything from the top row. Again, nothing changed too much here. We got the armored strength. We have armor, which you actually tend to have a lot more armor now. I guess technically this is a slight buff, I guess, since armor is much easier to come by. So we got the armored strength, gives you 10% more damage. Rushing Hill, enemies hit by your stump deals 30% less damage for 4 seconds, which is really good. Perpetual strength, more melee damage. Reverberating impact, more stump AoE. Chaos Slayer, more damage to chaos enemies who got nerfed, which is really cool. Performing a light combo, you take 15% less range damage. Grappling Stride, after performing a stump, you can hold it again and do a double stump when you're in those situations. Majorous Slayer, more damage against Majorous enemies. And then Momentum Gain, you're gonna get more attack damage when you're light attacking, which you're gonna be doing most of. And there you have it, guys. That is my updated tactical build after the patch. Honestly, this build has gotten a pretty sizable increase. Yeah, we don't overheal anymore, which is unfortunate, but honestly, I don't really feel like I need the overheal. And with the changes to the pip system, now I really don't feel like I ever have a problem. And I mean, you still heal a lot whenever you hit them with the Melta, so it's really nice. Ultimately, I'm a big fan of the build. Hopefully, they actually buff the bolt weapons soon, because I do want to do a bolt build. I think my next build is going to be a heavy laser build or a heavy build, some type of heavy related build. But yeah, hopefully you guys like the build. I really appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. Feel free to leave me some comments about the changes, what you like, what you didn't like, and yeah, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one very soon.